Hey everybody. Okay. Let me strap in. This is going to be kind of a long one. It's with great pride that I come here tonight, having been asked to introduce Leo Costigan to all of you by Leo Costigan. But to be honest, this won't be that hard. I could stand up here and read to you any number of excerpts from his short stories, or the multitude of love letters that we have on our fridge that we've been writing for some time now. I can mention to you any of Leo's recent successes, like his work being chosen by Iron Horse as the winner of this year's Discovered Voices Award. I can choose any number of things to prepare you for this writing badassery that you're about to experience. But I would instead like to direct you to a different passion of Leo's. I'd like to speak to you of his accomplishments on the battlefield of Halo 4. So, together, Leo and I have taken on the best of them. We're talking about prepubescent children, really old men, foul-mouthed teens, and like the occasional girl whose voice will send the entire team into a sexual frenzy. And still always, Leo's skills are unparalleled. His hands unshaking in the presence of foes the likes of which the gaming world has never seen. We're talking about foes who brandish wartime name tags like Huge in the Pants and Cryptic Dawn, and then all caps Anal XX Destroyer. And no matter, Leo has maintained an impressive kill-to-death ratio of 1.12, and he's even unlocked the rare skin of the Covenant carbine rifle. But alas, we don't always emerge victorious, and these are the moments when you see deepest into someone's soul. I can recall, perhaps, the most decisive of our losses. One afternoon where Leo and I were growing closer in the bonding towers of simulated violence. It was a particularly crappy map, and we were having an extremely difficult time with the enemy team. And we were sitting silently, occasionally groaning, but generally just waiting for the match to end, and then Leo turned to me. And he paused momentarily, his eyes fixed resolutely, yet with a distinct warmth, and he said to me, Peter, we are getting our shit pushed in. And when all other words would have failed humanity in that instant, when we were losing so badly that nothing could console me, Leo's words affirmed two things in my mind. One, I might be in love with him. Two, no one, surely no one had ever turned the phrase so eloquently. But in all seriousness, I am here tonight to introduce a dear friend of mine. And I know it's no surprise to any of you when I say that talent like Leo's doesn't surface very often. His voice, his ability to create characters that not only do we believe must be real, but were they not, we might be devastated, is indicative of the magnitude of his art. The character you will meet tonight, Daniel, is a perfect example of this. And I place great faith in Leo's writing and the work he will share both in a couple of minutes and in the years to come with us. And I sleep well knowing this, too. As Leo is no stranger to responsibility, I recently learned that in the 6th grade he was appointed to be an aquarium camp counselor one summer. So, yeah. Anyways, please welcome Leo Costigan.
Short, I have to bend down. You can read like that. You can just read my thoughts. That way, if it's a shit story, it'll be your own fault. Okay, this one's it's called Shortcut, and the character is called Daniel. Daniel was late for the bus. Again. The bus would stop, no Daniel. The bus would be in the red column in terms of Daniels tonight. Man, did he need to speed up. His wheelchair had a carbon frame, so he could really move. Why not take advantage? Right now, the footpaths were clogged with pedestrians. Pedestrians with large, colorful backpacks, holding hands, running as though ablaze. Girls moved quickly, Daniel noticed. Bell rang, girls were in the halls dancing and running, thumbing noses, rubbing shoulders with coconut oil. Everyone's ass was a turbine, zipping around until a leg was broken. The broken legged was shoved in a broom closet and given a trumpet and some hand cream or something until the next round started. Everyone getting pregnant one way or another looked like there were people in all of them. He wanted to get with the program. He wanted to catch the bus. A shortcut was needed. Over the river, through the woods, to grandmother's house and so forth. Though no river, no woods. Fields, mostly. And grandma was dead. She passed away. Missed her, actually. The way she tucked $15 in the birthday card. The way she put peanut butter on the breakfast scones. The way she vacuumed nude. I am a blank, saggy canvas, she liked to say, working the braided ropes. Daniel shivered. It was cold out. It was frigid. The canvas of the world was blank and saggy due to snow. He breathed through his hands, Eskimo-like, squinting at the great expanse before him. Schoolyard, snowy fields, icy blacktop. The ice on the blacktop was scuffed from foot traffic. He liked the black ice. Didn't affect him. Actually sped him up if he thought about it. Gave him a boost. He was invincible as far as black ice went. If black ice were threatening mankind, he could simply wheel around saving people, delivering flowers to the infertile or whatnot. The field was totally empty. He could work with that. The field was a blank check. His breath was shooting out in small bursts. He felt like the train set on Mr. Clegg's desk, tooting around in a figure eight, occasionally slipping off the rails. Would the snow mess with his wheels? Unlikely, sir, was the answer to that question. The snow wasn't heavy, a light grazing. Light grazing? Was he a sheep? He didn't know. Too cold for questions. He zipped his jacket, gave the wheels a spin, down the ramp, past the green dumpster, edge of field. Football field. Where football was played. Where kids pissed on him. One of the two. A dual-purpose space, really. Where football was played, / kids pissed on him. The time they surrounded him, cupped their hands, made hoses of themselves. Did he stop them? No. Did he even yell? That's a negative, Commander. Instead he focused on such thoughts as, they're putting me out like a bonfire. Woe was him. Sometimes piss was given to one in group settings. That was life. Was he supposed to cry in the shower until the steam made his eyes red? Absolutely he was. Then he whistled a lot because Mom seemed to think he was doing all right but was all whistling. He started through the field. He could see the bus in the distance, exhaust pouring out of the back like a dozen synchronized smokers. He hoped it wouldn't pull away. The trip was a cinch after the field. Clean sidewalk, busted shopping cart, Mennonite wives in the distance hanging up bed sheets, Mennonite farm across the school. By sunrise, the sheets would be frozen, swaying heavily in the wind, and sometimes in the morning he could watch the women forming neat little stacks. He wondered if they looked longingly at school dances, the school fair, the fair in which Todd's booth read, "How many live goldfish can I swallow?" Later crossed out to "I swallow?" Shaking of Mennonite heads, not missing much. He liked the women though, their homeliness. Imagined exchanging glances with one across the way, a girl with a stern father, a stern, accepting father who would welcome him to the house and build him a special ramp out of birchwood or some other modest material. Pretty soon he would be part of the family, the weathered outsider, wise to the cruelties of the world. Jamming the guy's daughter. He needed pills or something, he needed a hat. The sense was dissipating through his uncovered head out in the cold. Cutting through the field, heading for the bus stop. Was that a song? The answer was yes. Cutting through the field, yeah, heading for the bus stop. The snow was thicker than he thought. His hands hurt, pumping the wheels along. This was work. This was overtime. He would be ripped in the aftermath, like muscles on a cripple. Like tits on a fly, Kenny would say. Kenny was such a cock repository. He couldn't figure why Mom liked him so much. That first summer when Kenny made him hold the shovel, "Help Kenny in the yard," Mom said. Kenny in the hole kicking dirt around, spitting chew in an old Coke bottle. "Where's the shovel?" he'd say as the Daniel might have gotten up and walked off. "Here, Kenny, here's your shovel. Anything else?" What good's a boy can't dig a hole? Daniel didn't know. That's why he held the shovel. Those who don't know hold the shovel. Those who don't know seem to find the shovel idle in their hands. The world was full of people not knowing, holding shovels, getting married in double wides, losing eyes with pellet guns. He squinted through the fat gray clouds. Up ahead was a crater of some sort, a divot. He cocked the wheels up, made the revving sound. "On your mark, get set." Bikini chick, dropped flag, he was off. Wheel stuck in the divot. Christ on a bike. How embarrassing. The other racers would laugh at him, back at the race lodge. The lodge was full of racers laughing in his face, wearing their gloves. It was just the hind wheel. If he could just... Daniel fell over in the snow. He paused for a moment, face down in the slush. He knew the rules. Kid fell, people laughed. He could plot it out on graph paper. He listened to the wind for a minute, waiting for the backlash. Nothing. Holy flip, his shoulder hurt, the bone turning into a numb wad of, if he could only roll over. No good. The snow was falling. Lots of cold kisses. Dozens of chilly women pecking his neck. Ladies, please, he said, pretending to wave along. He picked his head up, looked around. He was at the 10-yard marker in the field, lying on it, both feet caught in spokes. Close to a touchdown, he thought, trying to drag the chair toward the goal. He imagined people cheering, women smiling. Gosh, women smiling, he'd never seen that, not at him. There was Brandy, his church partner, front teeth like a boomerang, smiling when he took his place in the pew beside her, breasts muted under mounds of tan, squeezing his hand in choir, inflating him with spirit, making him sing Breath of God during the chorus. I'll show you Breath of God, he thought, fart noise. He would take Brandy over the others, the other high school girls. Given a choice, if God's great fists came bearing down, saying, pick Daniel, right or left, he would choose Brandy, and that was that. Her heart was in the right place, behind her excellent breasts. The breasts were guarding the heart. He pictured himself at a podium, silver-haired, speaking into a microphone. Breasts, thine heart's guardians, he said, watching the crowd as their faces melted in sadness and joy at his words. The other girls tended not to notice. Didn't meet his eye line. Ruby kissed him on the cheek once, put it in her college essay. Soon the other girls were kissing his cheeks, writing about it thoughtfully in the right places. The girls kissed my cheeks, he told himself. It sounded great without deeper analysis. If the facts stood still all by his lonesome, it made him look alright. It was only when the other facts came aboard that everything got distorted. Who knew? Maybe if they fucked him, they would get a scholarship. They could fuck him to the top. Fuck me to the top, he said aloud. Words smearing against the wind. His ears were whipped. He thought of cutting one off, giving it to Ruby in an envelope. A symbol of love, he would say, nursing the head wound. Look of, ew, no thanks. Maybe not an ear then, Senora Ruby. His ears were a solid feature after all, close to his head, just the right size. He looked sharp when he wore the blue sweater, as if to say, yo, I am normal. I may even have a fun side. Maybe a toe perchance, one of the middle toes, hanging limply over the edge of the chair with its inactive cord. At least they didn't feel cold. They didn't feel anything right now. They could cut him in half, he wouldn't even blink. He was a superhero. Magicians could use the real saw. To heck with magic. He was living it. The sun was dipping below the tree line, looking at him. He needed to make a move here. He needed to cut a rug. There was snow piled up on the bleachers, weighing the boards down into a kind of smile. He should shout, make some noise, get attention. It occurred to him he didn't know how. He could hear the field hockey girls running laps somewhere in the distance, bundled in thermal running gear, yelling encouragements, grunting in short feminine grunts. Help, Daniel shouted, the sound of his voice surprising him in the blank field. The wind rattled the flagpole. I'm shouting with the girls, he thought, excited by this fact. His voice mixing with theirs. His voice joining a group of other voices, merging to create sound. Help, he shouted again, this time with confidence. Help! Nothing. The chair appeared stuck. Dan stuck to chair stuck to field, Dan stuck in field. Bus groaned, pulled away. For this he would take the Lord's name in vain, Christ. He needed to be righted, a great crane from the sky, a claw coming down to win him from the snow. This was bad. This was pretty bad. Bloody shoulder, blood seeping through the denim jacket. Blood sure stood out in the snow. Here you had all this white, and then something hot and thick like blood came along and ruined it. Messed it up. The plain old snow, just trying to live. Messing with my rhythm, Dan, man, the snow said. Would he die in this field? No, sir, that was not his fate. He would go ahead and not do that. Somebody would be around shortly. A neighbor with a flashlight, probably. 2 neighbors. One with a flashlight, the other with a blanket and hot tea. A third sir one called Mom. Where was Mom anyhow? Didn't mothers tingle when their sons bled? Was his mother currently tingling? She would ignore the tingling, steal more of his back pills. I'm tingling, she would think. Time for more of Danny's meds to dull his sudden tingling. Mom, the flight attendant. Mom with short blonde hair, ballet slippers. Mom's arriving, she liked to say. Mom's departing. Where was Dad? When was Dad arriving? Your father's in Dallas or Minnesota, she told him once. I can't remember which. He was sure his father could walk. Guy was out there in the world, crossing his legs, remaining upright, kicking things. Never taught me to walk, Dad. Daddy-o. Sorry, son, he would say. I was too busy exercising my own ligaments. The blood was starting to flood his head. On second thought, he was not above dying in a field. Dying in a field was so him, the more he pondered it. Face down, allowing the world to have its way. There was so much he hadn't done, so much more to accomplish. Never snorkeled, never touched a breast, Never slapped a man with a white glove. He pictured a politician on television speaking of his death in the field. A brave soul, the television said. Memorial of children running in field. In memory of Daniel Flynn. Thanks, politician, for that memorial. That would just about bind the tit. Statues of children running in his honor in this field. His field. He flapped his arms a little, making a snow angel. Looking down, only the wings were visible. Looked like maybe he was on top of the angel. Other people died screaming. Other people were impaled on elephant husks or tusks, just trying to feed their families. Here he had a snow angel to make love on in a field, all to himself. Better to be alone. Nobody around to laugh, better to be weak and private. He would die without a sound, like the captain of a ship, silent and important, even as the water met his waistline. This was something special. He wished he could flip himself, lie on his back, and watch the clouds as the wind pushed them north. Was dying on one's back too much to ask? Yes, Daniel, whispered the universe. That was incorrect, the alone thing. He would admit that. He wanted a bystander, even Kenny. If Kenny were here, he'd climb his back, sniff his neck, get that stepfather smell. Maybe a friend. Not that he didn't have friends, he had the boys. The boys were good to him, had been good to him a time or two. Pushed him through the halls, let him perch by the basketball court, tied a jump rope to his spokes, tried to start him like a mower. The boys could be tough, that was true. Occasionally they rode him. This was the best way to phrase it. The time they made him wear the conductor's hat, told him to yell. All aboard? Every time, down the hill, couldn't take the hat off. They're teasing you, Mom told him. You're part of the group. Later he found a blue jay on its side by the cinder blocks, blinking wildly, moving in a slow circle with one active wing. He poked it with his penknife, watched it twitch. I'm teasing you, he thought. I'm teasing you with this very small knife. All aboard? He would hold a vengeful job in the future, a dynamite salesman, selling dynamite to men in ski masks, men intent on using said dynamite for malice with their masks, and nobody would know who they were because of their masks. Really, he just wanted to work in a pawn shop with Uncle Sean, propped up behind the glass, checking out the incoming watches, assigning value. This is junk, he might say, pushing one back through the slit. I'll take it for $5. He listened to a bad muffler coming from the faculty lot. Last of the teachers going home to nuke dinner, prepare a lesson, cursed quietly at a mirror. He lifted his head, took stock of his possessions. A will, he thought. He needed a will. One red scarf knitted left to Mom. To Kenny, the snowball, the snow packed tightly in his right hand. A tube of lip balm left to Janet, big sister Janet. Fucker left me lip balm. Janet in black shorts with skulls sewn up the thighs, locked in her Janet room with her Janet friends, piercing ears with darts, taking pictures of each other vomiting. They had this ritual like, Dan knocks, Janet says, fuck off in rusty accent. Fuck off. Never let him in. She let him in once, introduced him to friends, gave him a cigarette filter. Chew it, Dan. Everyone's chewing filters now. He does it, collective chuckle. She used to put the radio on, helped him buck the wheels to simulate dance. Took him to the spillway by the casings factory. Spillway at sunset. Clusters of iodide clouds messing with light, making everything bruise-colored. There were noises now in the field, some rustling. A squirrel, a jogger with earmuffs, a tree shuddering. Daniel lifted his head, scanned the cold field. The rustling faded. That was life, he thought. A lot of noise and then stillness. He could feel the water in his thermals. They would find him in the field. Little girl with sled trudging through, hand poking out, girl trips. Sorry for the mess, babe. There were certain expectations one had of people, certain outcomes held in mind. Bareback guy got sunburned. Girl with no teeth stood alone by punch bowl. What would they say here? Ah, yes, Daniel, no surprises. The pep rally win, and all the excitement. He was left in the truck bed, still cheering. A rush of air to his head, forming a sort of recliner, which was good. He wanted to lie still for a minute. And hey, already performing that one. Funny how what he wanted just now he was getting. He wanted the recliner, and there it was beneath him. He would face death squarely, not a stranger to it, riding in Kenny's truck. Little detour, Kenny had said. Parked them on the railroad tracks, killed the engine. We wait, he said, eyes on the window. Train in the distance, steady light. Please, Kenny, please, please. Last second startup, the great whoosh as they pulled off the tracks. He was part of the landscape now. Fresh sheets, bright and smooth, piled on top. He thought of angels in conductors' hats riding him out. Ride me out, girls. They would have to push him home in the spring.
Thank you guys for coming out. It's not closing time, so you can stay here if you want, grab another drink. Our next reading will be on December 4th, same time, 7:30, right here. So hope to see you then. Thanks.